Hello, everyone. I'm Ravneet Singh, a lead instructor with the PCE Final Frontier. I'm back again with another success story with our PCE Final Frontier from the results of July 2022. I have a very special person with me. Let's welcome Rucha. Rucha, welcome to the session. And I'm very excited to talk with you and share your journey with all of our listeners about your July 2022 PCE.
Thank you, Ravneet. Thank you so much for, giving me a chance to talk to everyone.
Great. How's everything over there?
It's going great.
All right. In addition to that, one of my favorite questions, how did you feel waking up to be a physio in Canada while sitting in India?
That was amazing. Actually, I did not expect the results that day. And that was really a surprise when it arrived. And it was in the evening. I had gone somewhere out. My phone was not connected to the internet. And when I came back, I saw my results and I was very happy with it.
Right. Of course, I can imagine the excitement, and I can imagine that you must be losing your patience because now you're in India and you have the license to practice, but now you want to come to Canada as soon as possible and to be able to get into that atmosphere. So, which is great. Rucha, these sessions are very specific to those people who want to understand how did you crack the exam in first attempt, because honestly, even we don't want anybody to keep taking the attempts after the attempts, and we want to create an environment and a course and the content that one person should take it and be able to pass the exam in first attempt. So tell us something about you can talk about like top 3 things or top 5 things or whatever you did for your PCE. Like, did you study in the most conventional ways to study the big books and keep going back to the big books, or did you follow the course material, and how did that happen in about 3 to 4 months?
Okay, so I think the first thing was setting a date for the exam. I think that is what got my preparations going. I got my credentials done in 2021, but I was just postponing my studies because I think it was just getting too overwhelming, or I did not have like a goal that I was working for. So someone who is looking to take that PCE, I think you should just go ahead, give yourselves 3-4 months at least, because that is the minimum amount of time that you might require to prepare for PCE. But just go ahead and set your date, because that is something that will, start motivating you to start studying. Because work or everything else takes a little bit of time all throughout your day, but once you set that goal, I think that is when you will start working towards it.
That is true. I agree with you. Without a goal, you're always, because without a destination, you don't know the direction, right? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Go on.
Secondly, I think it was a lot of my time in the initial, like when I started studying, was spent on doing the basics study, because it was like a 10 years since I passed my BPTH and after immediately master's. So it was quite a lot of time that I got used to the routine of actually sitting and studying. So I made sure that I stuck to basics, because I don't mind spending my time on basics, because later on the conditions and the interventions became quite easy, because it was very easy to relate and correlate to the basic stuff. So that is, I spent around, more than a month just studying on the basics and, going through them again and again, because that is what, really helped me later. It also helps you to make an informed decision about some topic which you may have slightly studied, but you can still get the answer because you know the basics. So I think that is something that was again very helpful. I did stick to the timetable, but I tried to tweak it a little bit to match my weak areas, which I thought were neuro, because I hadn't seen a neuro patient in a long time. But now if you ask me, I definitely could give it my best shot. So that's yeah.
Of course, I can totally relate to it, because just before our call, I was talking to one of our students, and that person does not have good exposure in the musculoskeletal. That person is neurophysiotherapist, and he's from India, Panchkula. And I was talking to him, and he was like, I always have this difficulty remembering the muscles. So I was like, I can guess that you totally skipped the ankle joint. and you totally skipped the hand. And he was like, yeah, how did you know? Because this is a common pattern. And this is why we're talking right now, to break those patterns. So I really like when you said, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's also one thing when you said ankle, I actually started with the hand and the ankle because I knew that I have studied the shoulders so much that I should not go back to that first. So I tried to map out my areas which were actually weak, which I knew already. And I think most of our students will know that, what you're weak in. I think if you just jot them down and work on them first, then everything else becomes easy to tackle.
Did you by chance listen to the conversation with our student before? Because this is exactly what I said, that you have to start your difficult stuff, because you can't just live in your bubble, and you can't just keep reading the same stuff that you're confident with. You need to do something about your weak topics as well. Perfect. Thank you for saying that. Now, what I said to my student is really validated. Okay, perfect. Rucha, one thing that you said, you cleared your BPT 10 years ago. You started studying. This is a very common question to me. Hey, I got graduated 3 years ago, and it's a long gap. I graduated like 5 years ago. It's a long gap. Now we're talking about to someone who graduated 10 years ago, and we're talking about a decade. What is your idea of smart studying with such a long gap?
So I did stick to the timetable, but I told you I mapped out my weaker areas, worked on them more than something that I already knew. And what was, I think, I tried to make a routine for myself, because, as it's not about, you're not able to study because you've already done this stuff before. The thing is, you may not be able to get into the routine where you have to go through so much stuff. So mornings were my best time to study. So I figured it out and I stuck to doing the heavy stuff in the morning, as opposed to, something when I'm tired or anything, where I used to take questions, because I knew that, that is something that might be helpful later for me in the exams when I'm tired, but I still want to study. So I took my questions in the evening. I did not really open up the books, because I tried doing that in 2021, and it was really overwhelming for me. So I studied the stroke chapter, and I did not open my books for 2-3 weeks after that. So I did, important was I went through all the material that was there, made my own notes, because revising and everything takes time. Right. Most of the topics are like twice or thrice in the timetable. I tried to go through everything, that is for sure. Like I tried to go through everything in the PCE blueprint at least once. Right. And the ones that I thought I was a little not confident about, maybe twice. I think the most, the smartest thing was your lectures, because I've seen them in 1x, 2x speed as well. Okay. So those were really helpful, for me to first get an idea of what I need to, go through, because it's something that it was clear in the lectures. I did not need to go back and read through the books or go too much in detail. Right. So I think your lectures were a part of my smart study in 1x, 2x speed as well. I think that is a quite good thing. If you're pressed for time, you can just, go for the speed, and that would be really helpful.
Great. One more thing, Rucha, because everybody wants to know how much exactly I should study, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. I know it's a vague question, and I really don't want to fix any timing on that, but how was your schedule? Were you working while you were studying, or did you take a break?
Yes. So first, the first 2-3 months, I was actually working at least 10 hours, because I was working online. I was working with a tele rehabilitation company. So I was working online. Most of my time was spent with that. But I still tried to take out time in the morning, go through whatever was difficult. And later on, I think I took a break for about 3 to 4 weeks, where I dedicated a lot of time. The last 2 weeks were stressing, where I sat for about 6 to 8. But before that, I at least stuck to 4 hours in the day, maybe 2 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours in the morning, maybe 1 hour in the evening. But I think that is quite variable in terms of what topic I was going on. That is also it. Sometimes I could cover a lot, some days I couldn't. So then I would maybe shift it to the weekends.
Right. I can totally relate to the anxiety that you're sharing right now, because not able to finish the timetable topics may sometimes pressurize you. But I think it's very important for you to remind yourself that if I have a day off, I can cover a little bit more than I was doing the day before, right? Perfect. Tell us something about the practice exams. Like, did you take practice exam 4 hours?
Yes.
Or break it down, or?
No. So I started taking practice exams only in the last month. As I told you, I tweaked the timetable to suit my needs a little bit. So I did take, but I made sure that I took it at the same time I was scheduled to actually, do my exam, because my exam was in the evening and I was used to be studying in the mornings. So it was quite a little bit of challenge for me, but I did, try to do that sitting at the same time, sitting in one place. I took the 50 questions at one go, then the 2 exams that were given at one go only. And the next day, I just spent it on, maybe going through the right answers as well as the wrong ones, because the right ones, you may have the answer right, but not the logic. So I was trying to, go through them quite well. The practice and the small question test, I tried to do it, as and when it was possible for me, or as and when I could complete the topic. So the practice exams were really helpful. I managed to barely pass in all of them. And so I was okay, like, okay, at least I'm passing in all of them, so I should be okay with my exam as well.
But at least you knew your range.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. The ones that the final mark that I got from the practice exam is not it is definitely higher, and not as probably lower, on towards the lower scale of passing. I think the thing that was a little challenging for me, probably it would come from working in the Canadian atmosphere, is probably the ethics part. But being a little defensive on those questions, helped in the end.
I agree with you. So Rucha, while you were working, while you were studying, you were taking practice exams, and you shared your ideas of the smart studies. What would you recommend for future physios not to do? What is something that you're like, for example, if you ask me, I would say, do not break your consistency. Okay. Do not break down your practice exams. What is something that you would recommend? For example, you were saying in last year you were studying the books, but now you don't want to do it. So don't study the big books, everything from the books, because it's going to be overwhelming. And it seems like never-ending process. What's your idea of what not to be done? Let's not talk about the topics. Let's not talk about the topics, because that's unethical. So something in studying strategies, like, what do you think?
I think covering everything from the blueprint gave me a sense of, assurance that I have covered everything, even if it was just a read or a glance. But, completing everything, that was something that gave me an assurance that I have done everything and I will be able to, crack the exam. That is something. And I think consistency, yes, because as I told you, the date made sure that I was staying motivated towards, even if it was little, like even if it was just a topic that day, I was making sure that I was doing it. And and making your notes, because probably revision is something that is very important. I may have read something before, but then if I don't revise, maybe the last few days are very critical for you to study.
All right. Sounds good. I think that's it from my side, Rucha. If you have anything else for the listeners, please go ahead. All yours.
Okay. So I just, thought something that I just kept it going at the back of my mind is like, I was working in sports. So one of the coaches had said that, practice like it's like a competition. So when you're going to perform, it will be just like your practice. Right. So that is something that I tried to do with my exams and the study as well.
Totally relatable, and totally relatable to the exam, because you don't want to feel like you're solving questions. You want to feel like you're treating the patients and listening to them and then answering the questions. Perfect. Thank you, Rucha, for sharing your journey. I appreciate it. And it's a different feeling passing the exam in the first attempt, and especially when you're not even in the country and you made it while sitting at your home. You made it possible. You were mature enough to tweak the timetable according to your needs, and I think we're very proud of you, and we are glad, the whole team. I can say this from the whole team, because the course is not just made by one person. Yes, the idea comes from one person, but a lot of people are involved in the whole process, right? So from the whole team, I thank you, and I can say that we are very proud of you, that somebody who thought about doing something and have put in the work and have proved that if you go to a right direction and if you are determined towards your goal, you book your exam. You took the most courageous step to book the exam. You took that risk and then you pushed yourself. So very inspiring, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Ravneet. I wouldn't have done without your help, because I think yours was the only face that was helping me with the preparation. So I am very grateful to all of you, all the team, and thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good one. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.